This thing, why is it doing the camera? Okay, good evening. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitamina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we're continuing our discussion on Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 6. We'll be taking the passage verses 10 through 17. So in the previous passage, Krishna kind of introduced the topic of Ashtanga Yoga. The main purpose of Ashtanga Yoga is meditation. Yoga is Chitta Vritti Nirodha, to stop the mind fluctuations. This is called yoga. So he says that yoga and sannyas are equivalent. Sannyas means renunciation of the fruit of activity. So, and yoga means giving up material desire in the mind. So he says these two are equal because you cannot really renounce the fruit unless you're internally renounced, unless you've given up desire in the mind. So after saying that, he mentioned that there were two broad stages of yoga: the yoga arurukshu stage, the beginning stage, and the yoga aruda stage, the advanced stage or meditation stage of practice. On the beginning stage, you need the support of karma yoga to keep the heart steady. The heart here means the inner being of a person, their mind, their intelligence, ego. And when you're at the advanced stage, you're to stop work or stop karma yoga, stop work in the world, because that will disrupt the meditation practice. So that is the difference between the two broad stages. In the beginning stage, you still need engagement with the world. But at the advanced stage of meditation, you have to stop all engagement with the world in order to maintain the steadiness of meditation. So to go from beginning stage to advanced stage, you need the help of the mind. The mind can take you down or it can take you up. Most of us have experience of the mind taking us down and down and down and down. Sometimes we even hit new lows. We even know we could go that low. Such is the nature of the mind. So the mind that degrades us is the mind that is attached to sense objects. And Krishna himself has delineated that whole progress in 262, 263. And the mind that takes us up is the mind that is detached from sense objects. So the mind that takes us down is called as an enemy. And the mind that takes us up is called a friend. So we have, I suspect many of us have considerable work to do in order to make the mind a friend. After mentioning that point, Krishna goes on to elaborate a little bit more on the advanced meditator's consciousness. Yoga aruda. Aruda means the advanced stage. And he mentions this advanced person as one who is fixed in a sort of stoicism or equanimity of mind. And he gives kind of three levels of that: equal-minded in happiness and distress, honor and dishonor, sort of like an equanimity of mind in relationship to things regarding oneself. Then an equanimity of mind in relationship to the objects that you see, seeing a stone, pebbles, and gold with equal vision. That's kind of even a little bit more challenging. And then an equanimity of mind in terms of relationships, seeing an honest well-wisher and an enemy with an equal eye. That is considered very advanced. So this Yoga Aruda person, he is a person who is really qualified for this type of meditational practice, which Krishna is speaking about here, Ashtanga Yoga, a retreat to the forest. So having described that adhikar is an important, adhikar means the eligibility for something. So you can't really practice something authentically unless you're eligible for it. So there always has to be a discussion of qualification. There's a statement by Krishna to Uddhava, Sway Sway Adhikaraya Nishta Saguna Parikirtita. That piety is acting according to your qualification. And impiety is acting against your qualification. So in spiritual life, this is always a challenge to act according to your adhikar. Usually we try to do a little bit more, and then we suffer the consequences. It's like I just started going to the gym. So in the gym, if I try to act outside my adhikar, I'm a skinny guy. So I go to the gym, I see this big guy lifting heavy weight. So I say, I also will try. He like doing some chest press, 150 pounds or something. I said, that doesn't look so bad because he makes it look easy. So he said, it doesn't look so bad. I also will try. And then I lifted and then I'm getting suffocated. Somebody help, please. So if I don't act according to my eligibility, I will get hurt. Similarly, when you see someone advanced practicing spiritual life, it looks very easy. So you think, I also do. But unless you have eligibility, then you'll get hurt. So especially in modern talk of yoga, many people don't take consideration of their adhikar. They just feel attracted to something and they say, I'll do it, just by mere attraction. But mere attraction is not sufficient. There should also be adhikar. So having discussed the adhikar of the person who's really qualified for meditation. And remember, Ashtanga Yoga really means the culture of meditation. The first 5 angas, which are somewhat known and popular amongst modern men, are only considered the external limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. The yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, and pratyahara, these are called as the external limbs of yoga by Patanjali. The real work of yoga is the last 3 angas, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, which is the meditation life. So Ashtanga Yoga actually refers to the meditation life. And everyone is not qualified for meditation life. It is very difficult. Just like if we go upstate, sometimes us New Yorkers, people live in New York, we go upstate to get away and we say, oh, it is very beautiful. So nature is there, so nice and peaceful. But if there's no Wi-Fi, we can handle it for 1-2 days, maybe 3. After the 4th day, we can't see any beauty in nature. Where's the beauty? I need Wi-Fi. In other words, we start to really see where we lack. Where is our lack in such an atmosphere? So adhikar is required. So having discussed that, now Krishna in verses 10 through 17, which is the passage we're taking today, will describe the practices of this advanced meditator, of the meditator. So in verse 10, he begins his description. Yogi yunjita satatam atmana rahasistita ekaki yata chittatma nirasher aparigraha. So yogi, the first word in the Sanskrit is yogi. So yogi here refers to this yoga aruda person, this advanced meditator. That is the meaning of yogi here. This yogi, this person qualified for yoga. Yujita satatam atmanam. So he always engages himself in the meditational practices. So the word yunjita refers to the meditation practice. The last 3 angas, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. It refers to that contemplative life of meditation. Satatam, he is always engaged in that. So that means most of his life or day is spent in meditation. Can you imagine? Just like they have, I've been mentioning this many times, they have this Vipassana meditation, very popular. So they do for 10 days. But after 10 days, they probably are eager to get out. Of course, they may lie for social media purposes. That was so wonderful, I could do that all the time. But actual reality is that the census will say protest. They will not allow. But this yogi is doing Vipassana type thing all day, every day for the rest of his life. Yunjita Satata Atmana means that engagement in that culture of meditation for most of the day. Rahasistitaha, he lives in a secluded place. So this is the difference between the yogi and the karma yogi that we were hearing about earlier. The karma yogi is one who is still engaged in the world. But this yogi person, Rahasistitaha, he goes to a secluded place. So it's a retreat from the world. Maybe some monasteries there, or generally, at least as we hear in the sacred text, many times it was the forest. I often like to mention this point recently, that the forest often represented the place where God can be found. You'll hear it in many of the Puranas that if you wanted to find God, you had to go to the forest. He's not found in a city, he is found in the forest. And that, of course, God is all pervading. But the reason for saying that he is found in the forest is because unless you let go of the material life, then you'll not have access to the spiritual life. Because the material life is very distracting and very engaging. So there has to be a retreat from the worldly life in order to have access to the inner life. So therefore, God is he's in the forest. So rahasisthita, his retreats from the worldly life, from the city. That is part of his life. Now they have many yoga studios, very popular all over the city. But that is another concept. The Gita concept is different from this. Rahasisthita, the yogi should live in seclusion. And that too, ekaki, he should live alone. There should not even be a second person there, our commentators mention. Because if there's even a second person, there would be argument. There's a story told in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, chapter 8 or 9, chapter 7 or 8, where the one yogi is there. He's observing different things in different realities. So there's one story where he learned a lesson from a girl who had some bangles on her wrist. And basically what happens is that this girl, she was daughter of some persons who are not very rich. So her parents left, and then some suitors came looking for a wife, basically. So she kind of, let them into the house, and then she had to cook for them because they didn't have a servant to cook for them. So she was in the kitchen cooking for them and rolling the dough, but all her bangles were making noise, ring, 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 ring. So she said, "Oh, if they can hear this sound, then they will know that we are very poor, and they will not want to marry me." So she took off most of the bangles and left only one on each wrist, or two on each wrist. Yeah. And yeah, she left two on each wrist. So she was rolling. Still, they were making some sound. So then finally she moved it so there was only one on each wrist, and then there was no sound coming. So the purport of the story, as understood by the Avadut Brahmana, he was observing this, was that if even two yogis are together, there would be clash. Therefore, the Gyani should live alone. So for these yogi practitioners, ekaki, they should live alone. Because even if two people come in, there would be clash. Of course, this is a side point. In the culture of bhakti, Sri Vishwanath gives very nice comment to this. He said in the culture of bhakti, this is true for the Gyani, but in the culture of bhakti, it is just like a lady when she is getting married, and she wears all beautiful bangles and sari and everything, jewelry. So in the same way, in the culture of bhakti, the devotees come together to perform kirtan of the Lord, and that's very beautiful. So it is a little bit different concept, bhakti and gyan. But here we're hearing more about that gyan life, the yoga life, renounced life. So for them, they should live alone. There would be some minor disagreement, and immediately clash will be there, and there would be no question of meditation. There would only be fighting. So ekaki, they should live in, or hasistita, they should not only live in a secluded place, but ekaki, they should also live alone in the secluded place without even a second person there. Yata chitta atman. Yata chitta atman means they control their mind on all sides. Commentators mention this means that they don't do anything that is unfavorable to yoga, to their yoga progress. Just like devotees, especially we live in the city, we do a few things occasionally that's unfavorable to our practice. We know it's unfavorable to practice, but we say anyway, gotta act according to my qualification. I don't want to be fake. So because of having uncontrolled mind, this is like this. It's okay to check out a movie every now and again, not a big deal. Go to that restaurant, it's not a big, Krishna ain't gonna hold it against us. He understands we live in the city. It's just challenging. But this is Yoga Ruda. He's an advanced practitioner. So he controls his mind on all sides. So he only performs acts that are favorable to his yoga practice. And why is that? Nirashir, because he is without desire. And without desire here means without the worldly desire. Aparigraha, and he was without desire, without sense of possessiveness. The sense of possessiveness, of course, makes us act in, as a saying goes, what is that? Possessiveness turns sand into gold. When it's our own, then we become very infatuated. So the yogi is without this. So therefore, he is easy to control his mind. So this is one. The major element about his life is that he lives in seclusion. He lives in the forest, and that too alone. 6:10. Now we're on 6:11. 6:11 and 12 talks about the seat. So what is the seat of the yogi? The asana. That is very important. Asana here means the seat, not the asana practices. So Krishna mentions that Shuchau Deshe Pratishtapya Stiram Asana Atmanaha Naati utritam, naati nicham, chailajina pushottanam. So Shotra Desha means a clean place, a sacred. It also refers to a sacred space. So yoga was generally practiced like in Himalaya, near the Ganga River, somewhere. What is that place? Hrishikesh. Some sacred place yoga should be practiced, or of course for bhaktas, Vrindavan, Mayapur, these different devotional places. Should be a clean or sacred place. I don't think New York exactly qualifies. No. Of course, I guess we're trying to make the best use of a bad bargain. But make the best use of a bad bargain by charging lots of money and come to our place. Shodre Desha means that place should also be cleansed. It should be cleaned regularly, not that it dirty. Because if a place is dirty, then a lot of tamas will come. It's hard to practice. It's hard to sit down for a long time in a tamasic place without feeling tired. Just like when we go on road trips, many times everyone in the car goes to sleep. So very dangerous for the driver. Because all the increase of tamas in the car makes you also feel inspired to also go to sleep, which means there could be accident for everyone. There could be accident in the car. So if you make a place as tamasic, then it'll increase. So Shoche Desha means a place should be cleansed also. It should be a sacred place. Pratishtabhya stiram asana he should place the seat in a steady place. So it shouldn't be shifting around. The seat shouldn't be moving around. Na'ati utritam, na'ati nicham. It should not be too high, it should not be too low. I didn't see any comment about this, but I feel like I remember hearing somewhere if the seat is too high and you go into meditation, you might tip over or something, and then that could be problematic. Or it could break your meditation. So it should not be too high, and I guess it should not be too low. Also, maybe because of other like earthly creatures. I didn't see any comment for that though.
John, I'm sorry, I missed what text it was.
6, 11, and 12. Chaila Anjina Kusha Uttaram. The seed is also, there's kusha grass there. And then on top of the kusha grass, there's deer skin. And on top of the deer skin is a soft cloth. So I don't know why the seat was like this. I also didn't see any commentary. I did remember hearing from someone mention that a lot of this was to keep bugs and other creatures away. So the seat was designed in such a way that so many creatures wouldn't come and disturb their meditation. So there must be something, and deer skin and kusha grass. I don't know. There's no comment about that. But I heard that kind of makes sense. Otherwise, you're going into deep meditation. You wake up with all sorts of bug bites and bugs on you, so it could be disturbing. So after you make your seat like this, then tatray kagra manakrita yata chatendriya kriya upavishaya sane yungja yogam atma vishuddhaya. So tatra, thereafter, the ekagra manaha kritva. You should engage your mind in ekagram. So this word ekagram, nice word, it also comes in Yoga Sutra. It says that the mind has 5 states. Muda, dol. That's one we're very familiar with, especially when it comes time to hearing class. Everyone immediately goes into dol state. That you don't know, only if you give class you will come to know this. That glazed look on the eye. We also do it, but we don't know that we do it. But when you give class, you understand. What is that glaze look? You can immediately see that glaze. It's like it's amazing. It's like I don't know. It's incredible. You can just see exactly the point when people space out. And they're like, and then all of a sudden, like I always say, like when you're in the hospital and the thing goes out. What is that thing called? Flatlining. You're gonna see when the person flatlines in the class. He's like listening, and then it comes out of flatline when the speaker Srila Prabhupada ki comes back to life. That's unfortunate. So this is one state of the mind. Muda. Muda means dull. Then the kshipta. Kshipta means distracted. I always joke, you'll zoom in on some ant crawling on the ground. The speaker giving some katas there, especially in India, you see so many bugs. And then you somehow just, this is very interesting. It's just an ant. What's so interesting about an ant? Then you see he's picking up some food stuff, and you say, oh, they're very strong. How do they pick that up? Then you start asking yourself all sorts of philosophical questions about the ant. And then after that, getting distracted by anything and everything. This is called kshipta, distraction state. Then there's vikshipta. Vikshipta means intermittent. Sometimes focused, sometimes distracted. Like our japa period. You see, it's very interesting. You see in japa, going between these three states all the that's a real popular one. They go from vikshipta to dull, and then sometimes you see looking at the phone. Very embarrassing, actually. Then we will go and give class about the beauty of the holy name. How wonderful it is, how it absorbs you. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Give big thing. And then they come to the japa period and they see everyone's just like, or looking at their phones. And so it's very embarrassing, actually. So these three states are not conducive for yoga. So the last two states of the mind, we're mentioning 5 states. So the last 2 states, the penultimate state is called ekagra. Ekagra means one point to eka means one. Ekagra means one pointed mind. And it refers to the mind that is fixed on its object of meditation. And Krishna will mention this later on, like a candle that is in a windless place, unwavering, just fixed on its object of meditation. And then there's niruddha. Niruddha means completely restrained. These last 2 states of mind, mental states, are connected to the 2 broad stages of samadhi. Anyway, we'll not get into that particular detail here. So Krishna is mentioned here, tatra, after you've prepared to seat properly, ekagra manaha kritva, then you should engage your mind in ekagra. That means in fixed meditation on the object of meditation. In yoga, there are many objects of meditation. At least in the Patanjali system, they suggest many different objects, including Ishvara, particularly in the form of the mantra, that is called mantra murti. Otherwise, if someone was not inclined to mantra murti, there are other objects of meditation that a yogi could accept. Whatever it is, then they should fix their minds on that object without movement. That is called ekagra. Yata chitta indriya kriya. This is possible when their mind and senses are controlled on all sides. Because if the mind and senses are not controlled, you'll not be able to keep it fixed on one object, allowing it to move. So you can't let it move. Upavishya asane. They should sit down. So this doesn't seem like a significant point, but it actually is. The idea here is that meditation can be done sitting. It is not to be done reclining. Our acharyas specifically mentioned that it's like they could see the future devotees. So meditation is not to be done reclining or even walking. It should be done sitting. Actually, our acharyas quote Vedanta Sutra. And one sutra is there, asina sambhava. That sitting should be done because then meditation becomes possible. Asina sambhava. Here's a commentary. This is Baladevi Bhushan. I just read it. So one should adopt an asana, yoga sitting posture, and then meditate on the Lord. Why is that? That's the Kali Yuga creature asking. Why is that? The sutra explains, sambhava, for then it is possible. That is the answer. When one is reclining, standing up, or walking, the mind is liable to be distracted. Not liable, it will be. This is Kali Yuga. And then meditation is not possible. In Shvetashvatara Upanishad it is said, Te dhyana yogarubda abhasyam. Sitting in a yoga posture and wrapped in meditation, the sages gaze at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. End quote. In this way, they who desire to meditate on the Lord are described. Therefore, one should adopt the asana posture. Otherwise, meditation is not possible. So, of course, devotional life is also the life of meditation. So it should. So we should sit. Notice I did there. So Upavisha Asana Yujya Yogam Atma Vishuddhaya. So in this way, he's engaged in yoga, Atma Vishuddhaya, for the purpose of purification. This word Atma Vishuddhaya, we encountered it earlier in chapter 5 also. I think 5:11. Atma Vishuddhaya means to purify the antakarana, to purify oneself from false ego. Because it is false ego that ties our sense of self to this world. So to purify from that, they're performing this yoga practice. So it's interesting, the same word is used for karma yoga and also this yoga system. Both have this purpose, Atma Vishuddhaya. So in the next two verses, 13, 14, Krishna describes what they should do with the body. So this description of how they should prepare their seat and meditate on it. Now, what is their body should be like in meditation? Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayan. So they should hold their torso, neck, and head in a straight line. Achalam stira. It should not, stira means it should not move. Achalam means it should not waver. So just to clarify. Stira means steady, and achalam means not wavering. So anyway, we always like to quote, there are no hard and fast rules in chanting Hare Krishna. So we like to take shelter of that. Nam makari bahuda dijasarva shaktis. Tatar pita de yabita swarade dakala. There are no hard and fast rules, but there may be some soft and slow ones that need to be considered. And here, I guess, so too much moving is also not good because that will also distract from meditation. Like, that's very difficult to follow because it feels nice. I don't know, something about this that just feels comfortable. So for the yogi meditator life, that is also not allowed. Devotional service may be a little softer. But in yoga life, this is also not allowed. That's why someone who's like a seasoned meditator, when they come to like our japa practices, they feel like disgusted. So yeah, we also meditate. They're like, but if they have them like open their eyes, and they just be like, they're like walking and doing all reclining, and someone's got their legs propped up and so on. They feel disgusted with the system. Hey, look at Krishna's mercy. No hard and fast rules. But here for yoga, there are some hard and fast rules. Achalasita. The body should be steady, it should not waver. Sampreksha nasikagram swam. The yogi should look at the tip of his nose. Sometimes described as with half open eye. And the reason for this is that if the eye is fully open, it will certainly be distracted by something. If you close the eye, you will go to sleep. I personally don't close my eyes when I chant japa because there's no question of staying awake for the whole time. Of course, you feel like that, but you don't know when you go out. Like it's all you know is that you're just coming back to consciousness. You're just like, okay, I hope no one saw that, huh? 20 minutes later. It takes you like 25 minutes to finish your round. So this is not, huh? Dead giveaway. It's like, wait a minute. Maybe I chanted 3-4 rounds. And then your conscience is like, nah, bro. You were sleeping. So Sampreksha nice Sikagram Swam. You should keep the eyes half open, not fully open to be distracted, not closed, you'll fall asleep. Dishas Chanavalokayan. Don't look here and there. How you will meditate if you're looking here and there. Don't look here and there. Sometimes devotees keep picture of deities that they like, or Radha Krishna in front of them, and they just look at the deities. That may be a devotional type practice. Prashantatma Vikatabher Brahmachari Vratastita Mana Samyamya Machitto Yukta Asitamapura. So that's how you should hold your body when practicing. Then he said, here is very important. Brahmachari vrati stita. He is fixed in the brahmachari vrata. So this is also the difference between him and the karma yogi, perhaps. Karma yogi may be a family man, but the yogi is brahmachari vrate stita. He is fixed in the brahmachari vrata. Nice verse here. What does it mean to be fixed in the brahmachari vrata? Nice verses here. Smaranam kirtanam keli prekshanam guhya bhashanam. Sankalpo adhyavasayascha kriya nirita evacha. So there are 8 aspects of brahmacharya mentioned by, apparently it's mentioned by Sridhar Swami in one of his commentaries. Srila Prabhupada references it in his 6th canto purport to chapter 1 verses 13 and 14. So 8 aspects of brahmacharya. Smarana, one should not think about sex life. Yikes, already not doing good. Kirtana, one should not talk about it. Kali, think about sex life means think about women or the object of sexual attraction. Kirtan means don't talk about the object of sexual attraction. Kali, don't dally. Don't flirt. Don't dally with the object of sexual attraction. Prekshanam, don't look. Of course, means don't look lustfully. Which basically means don't look. Keep the eyes down. Just like we go to the gym sometimes, and we have to keep the eyes down many times, especially if you go in the afternoon. It's just that energy is there. So, prekshanam, guhya bhashanam, don't have confidential talks. Guhya bhashanam means talking in the corner somewhere no one knows where you're at. There are a lot of places in the Bhakti Center you could. Guhya means confidential space. So no confidential talk. Sankalpa. Sankalpa means making a determination. I will have sex. I'm going to do it. And then adhyavyasya, or making the endeavor for it. And then kriya nivritta, actually doing it. So to follow the brahmacharya vrata means in all these ways you have to control yourself. So this is another distinction here. And so then this yogi is like this. Mana samyamat prashantatma vikatabir. So he is prashanta atma. He's peaceful. Once you stop chasing after sex life, you can be peaceful. As Krishna says to Uddhava, he says misery means chasing after sex life. That's how Krishna defines misery to Uddhava. Very simple definition. Uddhava asks, what does it mean to be miserable? Krishna says to chase after sex life, that constitutes real misery. And modern men and women, I'm sure, but men especially, we definitely know what that's about. Vikatabir, he's also devoid of fear. Because the forest also represents a fearful place. Because in the forest, there's so many unknown variables. Wild animals, wild reptiles. Also, you don't know if you're going to be successful in your practice or not. So the forest represents many unknown variables. So Vigatabir means he's devoid of fear. As I like to mention, recently I've been mentioning this point a lot because I like this point, that the normal human psychology is to suffer the known than to adventure into the unknown, even if there's a pot of gold waiting for them there. So the yogi's given up that fear. Mana samyamya, controlling his mind. Machitta yukta asita mapara. So he sits and performs meditation, thinking of Krishna. Machitta mapara, Krishna means meditating on him. That is also an element of the yoga practice. It's called Ishvara Pranidhana. So they meditate on Vishnu. We've discussed this many times, Aaron. And specifically mantra murti, the mantra specifically will be an important aspect of their practice. So what is the result of doing this? Yujan evam, being engaged thus. Sada atmanam, all the time. Or it means daily like this. Yogi niyata manasaha, always controlling his mind and engaging in yoga in this way. So he attains adigachati, shantam nirvana parama matsamstam adigachati. He attains shantam, nirvana paramam, and matsamstam. So these are just 3 words for liberation. Shanta means peace, which is a word for liberation, because the material world is a place of fear. And no question of peace here. So Shanta means liberation. Nirvana Parama means the supreme nirvana. That is also another word for liberation. Mat Sangstang means the my place or a position like mine, like my standing, where I'm standing, you'll become like that. So different commentators read different things into that, but in other words, you become liberated if you follow this yoga path. So outside of yoga, outside of now most of his life is just meditation life. So outside of meditation life, how does he live? So that is described in verse 16 and 17. What is his life outside of meditation? So in two verses, there is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much, or does not sleep enough. So his life is balanced. He doesn't live in extremes. Although the normal image of an ascetic in the forest is someone who's like super extreme. And if you see like, what is that thing called? The Kumbh Mela. And you see all the yogis come out. Some of them are like far freaking out. They do all sorts of stuff. We're not gonna even mention it. It's just like crazy stuff they do. But actually, the whole purpose is to meditate. So if you live too extreme, then that will disturb meditation because then your body will always be in a state of disturbance. And if you don't give enough to the body, you'll also be disturbed. So you have to live in a balanced way so that the body doesn't cause disturbance to the meditation. So the yogi's life is one of balance. And verse 17 says more or less the same thing. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, yukta ahara viharasya. So he's a recreation. Of course, I immediately go to ping pong. So Vasudeva and I went on a little research. What is this recreation for the yogi? So Sri Vishwanath says it means walking. So a little bit of disappointment there. Because a yogi's life is a life of meditation, but sometimes he's walking here and there. That is his recreation. So he should do a little recreation. Do a little walking should happen. So one who lives in this way, regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work, can mitigate all material pains by practicing yoga system. Yogi bhavati dukkha. So the yogi removes all dukkha by practicing this way, in this balanced way. That is his life outside of his meditation practice. So some nice statements here about the life of the advanced meditator. So we'll stop there, see if there are any quick questions. I only have, the printer was like jacked up, so I can only print 2 pages. Okay. Y'all can break off into a little group and work on these questionnaires for 5 minutes. There's just one question for this section. Just as a little quick review. And then we'll end at 7:45 with some comments or questions and so on. Reflections. Hari. Gonna end the lives. Haribo from Sweden. Haribo. So doing some questions in class right now. No, you're just working on this section from today. I say this every class, I feel like. You do the questions from the section that was discussed. So today we discussed the second section. Then you can double back and discuss the first questions. I indicated the elements. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Now I don't think I want to brush, but still, just one, there's no clash. That's what those yogis watching us.
I wish. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Okay. Daniel asked the question, what are the takeaways from this section for us lesser souls? My answer is don't do this type of yoga.
It's like you said, can't move, must be in the woods, it's really not so practical, very difficult.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily bring you to the highest thing.
True. I did clarify a little bit later that we could gain some insight from how to meditate. That isn't because Christian consciousness is ultimately about meditation, actually. One the most confidential instruction of the Gita, which we'll come to later. Mamana bhava ma bhakto mam yaji mam namaskuru. So to think of me, I mean my devotee. So most of Christian consciousness is about meditation, actually. So we can gain some insight about meditation, how to practice meditation. And also there's that brahmachari vrata part that is important for everybody. Because I saw a verse actually when I was looking this up. The benefits of brahmacharya. By practice of brahmacharya, there will be longevity, luster, strength, vigor, knowledge, beauty, fame, piety, and devotion to truth. All these will increase. Particularly that last point really stuck out to me. Vardate brahmacharya. Yeah. Vardate means to expand or increase. And that devotion to truth really stuck out to me. That increases by brahmacharya. So something to be meditated upon. So there's definitely elements to learn from here. But I often see Krishna presenting this in order to just say do bhakti. It's like teamwork, because Arjuna is going to say this is not practical. And Krishna's like, yeah, do bhakti. There's like a little teamwork going on here. Okay, any other question, comment? Otherwise, we take 2 reflections. Who wants to go? You want to share a reflection? I'm gonna come after you. I'll let you get away with it this class. I don't want that space out stuff. So you get ready next time. I come after people.
Well, this last point you made, I have a reflection on it because I spent 18 years when I was a young man doing this kind of meditation. And I was with a really accomplished yogi.
Okay.
And then when I came to Krishna consciousness, I was really happy for a while, and then I got unhappy because I remembered that there was something that I used to experience that I didn't experience. Something about like peaceful, because everything you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing the other thing in Krishna consciousness. And I came to that thing that you were just saying, which is that sometimes you have to just sit and really focus your mind, sit down and really just do what I used to do in this impersonal school, but with Krishna as the object of my attention. And it's really deeply gratifying. And it put me back in that space that I was missing.
Mm.
So, yes, what you said is so true. We could learn to emulate the good points of the discipline that they submit themselves to in this school.
Yeah. The world is we're very happy to criticize them. Look at those guys. Ha 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 ha. They don't have Krishna, we're better than them. As we burp and space out. One other reflection is there. Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking in terms of chanting japa, it's kind of like, because Krishna kind is supposed to be like 24 hours meditating on Krishna. But I find that, yeah, it's without the cultivation of, an internal kind of connection, it seems like, even though there's definitely benefit there, so we're kind of safe in that sense because devotional service, the act of devotional service will warrant so much benefit. But at the same time, it's like, you're also so focused externally in the sense of like your energy is always outside of yourself in terms of doing the act of devotional service. And the only time you're trying to cultivate that internal is for 2 hours and you're like half asleep or whatever, depending on the quality of your japa. So, is there, and we like to say that everything happens automatically. And so how does that work? It's like is those hour and a half, 2 hours a day really making that much impact where everything that we do for the rest of the day is with the love of it.
I mean, we definitely can answer that experientially.
Right, that's why I'm asking.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes in the Harinam Chintamani that the devotee should periodically like lock himself in a closet. I don't think he uses the phrase "lock himself in a closet" exactly, but basically take time to go into seclusion and meditate. Like I mean, doing japa practice, there also can do some like chanting a prayer. Reciting a stava is one of the 64 angas of devotional service. That's something I'm personally trying to get into a little bit more. I'm not very successful so far, but learning like a stava, like Kunti stava or Brahma stavas. There's so many stavas in the Bhagavatam. And obviously, the learning means like you learn the meaning of the verses and then you lock yourself into some space and you recite the prayer as a form of meditation to the Supreme Lord. Or you could probably do it in Timberland. There's hardly anyone here, it's at certain portions of the day. Like if you come at certain portions of the day, you can just be with the deities and sing the stava. Otherwise, you can write your own prayer in seclusion. That is also something that the Christians were very fond of doing. Vasudev mentioned this. The Jesuits, what was the name of their leader? The Jesuits, when they started, Saint Joseph or something. Anyway, the person who started the Jesuit, he came out with these things called spiritual meditations. I have them here on the. They're very interesting, and it was meant to be like a 4-week retreat away from the world, a 4-week retreat where you like didn't talk and you just contemplated God and different meditations that he gave under the guidance of like a mentor. Anyway, I'm not explaining it perfectly well, but it's very nice. But anyway, the whole idea is like a retreat from the world. And you can do that by actually going in the forest or upstate or whatever, but also throughout the day, you can find your periods of retreat. Of course, we do retreat into our computers and phone, but that is not an ideal retreat. We can retreat like this. So that is, of course, up to us. So that might be something that could be done. I've been really having a desire to do that myself personally. Just like I'm trying to learn stavas and then just like offer the stava to Krishna, because that's an anga of devotion as a meditation practice. So yeah, that's a very nice point. How to make that personal connection. So, yeah, I almost feel like our 2 hours of japa don't really count, because I mean it kind of counts, but not really, because the way we practice it is like a checkoff thing. It's so shallow. Like Hare Hare. Check that off the regimen sheet or whatever it is, and it's so shallow of a practice. So that almost doesn't count. We used to say in the ashram that the real rounds don't start until after 16. We can't really practice that here in New York, but we used to say that the real round doesn't start until after 16. So anyway, like this, you want a connection, it's there for us to have, I suppose. Like this.
In 1986, I had a crisis, and I just made my mind up to chant 33 rounds a day. It was in New York.